design builder for the new Cuyahoga County Convention Hotel project. My name is Jeff Applebaum, and I am representing the county, the owner, for this project. I understand that you can see a live stream of this, although apparently that's fine. You can see a live stream of this at council, council.cuyahogacounty.us. The good news about the live stream is I'm not on it, which is good.
Yes.
Is there something else we're supposed to do here?
His light's on.
Anything else I'm supposed to do here before I start with this? Oh, hi. All right, is this, yeah, apparently it's a little better. Oh. We'll try this again. So, once again, if you didn't hear me before, you can see a live stream of this at council, council.cuyahogacounty.us. This is the pre-proposal conference for the design build package for the new Cuyahoga County Convention Center Hotel project. As all of you know, we have, and before I go any further, let me introduce the rest of the people that are here today on behalf of the county. You can introduce yourselves, actually.
Bonnie Teo, and I'm the Director of Public Works.
Nicole English with Public Works.
Good morning, Angela Philman with the Office of Procurement and Diversity.
Good morning, Nancy Mercado, SBE Program.
And I'm Majid Makhlouf, I'm the Director of Law.
Okay, so what we're going to do today is I'm going to tell you a little bit about the project. We're going to go over some aspects of the RFQ, RFP process, and you'll hear a little bit after I go through these initial steps about some aspects of the county procurement process. We'll answer questions here. Any questions that are deemed to be material, we'll follow up with an addendum. And there's also a process by which you can submit formal questions. They too will be responded to by addendum. So that is the process. So as I think all of you who are here understand, we are in the process of I'm not going to use the word fast track. I'm going to use the word a speedy process to design, develop, and operate a new convention center hotel project. Right now, we are at this stage in the process. We have, as part of a bridging design build or criteria design build approach, we have retained and are in negotiations right now with our proposed criteria architect. That architect is Cooper Carey out of Atlanta.
Joining the meeting.
We are in the process right now of selecting the operator/brand. And we are right actually in the midst of that process. We had our initial round of interviews last week. We have follow-up discussions this week, and it's our goal to know who our intended operator/brand will be for the hotel, certainly sometime next week. So the idea is that both the concept architect is on board, that the operator brand will be on board, and we'll know who that party is prior to the design builder coming on board. The process for design builder is as follows. As you know, we issued the RFQ. The qualifications are due, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on any of these, Nicole, but this is, I believe, correct. Qualifications are due on 8/21/2013. We intend to go through that list. We intend to issue an RFP to a short-listed group of firms. We intend to have that done on or before 8/30/2013. You will not have the longest time in the world to prepare proposals to keep our schedule. We're going to ask that those be back by 9/23/2013. We intend to conduct interviews with shortlisted players that we ask back, and we have set aside September 26 and September 27 for those interviews. Those are very important dates. These interviews, and as you know, in a process like this, are quite critical. We intend to get to a selection notification of the design builder by September 30th, 2013. It is our goal to be able to recommend that firm to council, and we are shooting for
Joining the meeting.
on October 1, 2013. It is our intention that, by the way, if you're selected on 9/30, with or without a contract, we expect you to be working very hard the next day because you'll be behind schedule. So be prepared to come to work the following day. The intention at that point in time is we'll have authorization of council for you to proceed. What will probably happen at that point in time is we'll have a short-term pre-construction services agreement so you can get going with some understanding as to how you'll be paid for a short-term contract while we are putting together or finalizing, I should say, the GMP agreement. Not the GMP agreement, excuse me, it's not that fast, the design build agreement. I'm also going to tell you a little bit more about that. We intend to have a form of the agreement to you either at the time that we give you the shortlisted firms, the RFP, or shortly thereafter, so that you will have an opportunity to comment on that agreement and understand it before the interviews, so we can find out whether we have any issues. I know people are curious about what this agreement might look like, and here's what I'll tell you.
Joining the meeting.
Laura Reese with URS.
I don't think that was supposed to happen.
Good morning.
Okay. I think the form of the agreement will be like this, and many of you have worked with contracts that I've done in the past, and you're also aware of the fact that we now have, this is a public procurement process under the county's version of construction reform with bridging design build. So let me simply say this, the form of contract will not look like the state's form of a design build contract. The form of contract will be a form that is consistent with the county's form of contract as developed by Thompson Hine and PMC. So this will be I guess I'd say the form of contract we wish that the state would have had. And so I think that you'll find the contract to be, for those of you who have done work in the past with us, it'll be familiar to you. Obviously, it'll have all the public procurement elements, but it'll be a familiar form of design build contract that you can work with. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the rest of the project, but before I do that, I want to talk a little bit more about the procurement side, and we're going to talk a little bit about the county procurement process and the SBE process. So let's just talk about the technical aspects of the RFQ, if we could.
Sure. Just to let you know, this is our request for qualifications, and you can pick up the specifications in the Office of Procurement and Diversity. That's right across the street, 1219 Ontario. Of course, that's the county administration building, room 110. There is no cost for the specification packet. And as Jeff mentioned, the bids or the proposals are due August 21st by 11 o'clock a.m. And that's very important. That's by our clock in our office. If you are late just by 1 minute, 11:01, we would simply timestamp these proposals and return it to you. Keep in mind, this is a formal process, so we have to go along with those requirements. So I stress that you are on time when you submit your bid proposal packages. Just a little housekeeping regarding the required forms. Of course, there's no bid bond or performance bond required at this time for the proposals. There are, however, the bidder compliance form, which we will include in addendum number 1. If there are any questions that we feel we need to respond to in this proposal meeting, we will also have those questions
Joining the
responded
meeting.
to in
Laura
addendum
Reese
number
with
1
URS.
of the qualifications form that you'll need to fill out and complete. There is not a non-collusion affidavit to be included, but there is the goal that we've set for 25%. Nancy Marcato is here from our Small Business Enterprise Office, and she'll go over that goal for you at this time.
Good morning. As Angela specified, there is a 25% SBE goal, and you can find it on page 5. There's where it specifies it. The goal can be met in various ways. You can go to www.opd.cuyahogacounty.us. When you're there, there's a word that says services. Click on there. There'll be a drop box, and it'll be the 4th option. There is our certified listing. Who's available to be certified with our county? Anybody that's located in Cuyahoga County that has a functional business and has been in business for a year or so, has filed their taxes, and has submitted the application. If by chance on that listing you do not see anybody that is to your agreement, then you can recommend a company and have them certified. But that company should be certified before the opening date. Okay, now the opening date is next week. This week I can help you out and certify that company. Do not leave it for next week. Okay, so there are various ways. The last few pages, starting on page 12, you will see our required documents. The required documents is SBE 1 that should be filled out by the prime and signed at the bottom and dated. SBE 2 is the following page. Top portion should be filled out by the prime. Bottom portion should be filled out by the SBE. Now, it says that this should be original. We understand that it is hard to be in contact with the SBEs required. So what we permit is that the bottom portion be sent via email or fax to the SBE, have them fill it out and sign it, and then send it back to you, and you as a prime will fill out the top portion in original. Okay? So we are trying to help you. If by chance you want to divide that 25% in various portions, you may do so. Just make a copy of this form and send it out, and when you submit it, we'll submit all the copies. As long as when we receive it, the percentage will add up to the 25%. If by chance you understand that you have a reason for not complying with that 25%, this does not guarantee, but you can submit and request a partial or a full waiver. That will be SBE 3. You will fill that out, request a partial or a full waiver, and submit it with the following page putting down what happened, explaining to us why you could not meet that 25% goal. This does not guarantee that you will receive it, but we're giving you the opportunity to request it, and we will study it. So please try to meet it, but if you can't, you have the option. If you do request a partial or the full waiver, it has to be notarized at the bottom. Okay. If by any chance you have a problem with the documentation, there's submitted also samples of how to fill out the documents following those pages, just to try to help you out. My business cards are here. You can email me, you can call me. I will be available until Monday. So if any doubt, please call. Thank you.
And just a little, you'll see more of this in the RFP, but a little clarification. Obviously, the SBE goal is for your ultimate contract. You do not know and will not know for a very long time who your subcontractors are. You will know early on something about your design team, and I'll talk about that. So we're going to be looking for at the time, we're going to be looking for the plan or a plan that gets to the 25% or the goal. In other words, with or without waivers, with respect to the design team, and we'll be looking for an overall plan with respect to the overall design build team. So obviously, we all recognize that you will not and should not have the names of any specific contractors as part of your design build team. It's really the plan and the approach and the commitment that's really going to be stated in this thing as you move forward. That'll be clarified in the RFP process. But right now, it's really about your approach and commitment to making the plan. A couple general things, and I want to come back to the overall project. Some of the questions that have been asked generally is, where do we stand? Will there be a community benefits agreement? As I think a lot of you know, this is something which is in flux right now. What I can say is this, certainly your contract will at a minimum have the same types of goals as were in the Convention Center and Medical Mart project, which is to say the 25% SBE goal, the goals for city and county participation in terms of employment. To the extent that more of the community benefits package evolves, it is something that obviously in time we'll be asking for the design builder to participate in, and I think there the importance is, and it'll be in the, to indicate your commitment or willingness to participate in a community benefits package, and I think everybody here locally understands what that means and where we are with that, but we can't give you a definitive answer as to where that process is right now. A few other isolated just questions that have been asked about the ultimate design build contract. It will be necessary for the design builder to indicate its ability to bond the project. Now, and I'm talking about 100% performance and payment bond. It is not necessarily the case that we'll require that 100% performance and payment bond. The way that the county statute is worded, it's worded such that we can require the full amount of that bond. We can look at alternatives to that bond. But you have to be in a position to supply that bond if for no other reason, because whether we decide that we want the 100% performance and payment bond, we are dealing with rating agencies and lenders on our financing, and they may find it, that may be a requirement. So it's, in essence, it's going to be an alternate in the proposal, but you do have to have the ability to supply that bond. So if you're not in a position to supply that bond, you're probably going to have to create, and want to go after the project, you're going to have to create a team that is in a position to supply the bond in the amount of the the value of the design build agreement. A couple words about self-performed work. This was also asked, and the answer is that there is, I guess I would say, a limited opportunity to do self-performed work under the contract with the advanced consent of the county as part of the overall plan, and with certain protections that will be built into the contract. We have to understand if as part of your project you're proposing to self-perform any element, such as general conditions elements, et cetera. You'd have to, the process will be, you need to advise us in advance. We have to approve of your method and your thought process in doing that. And there will be some restrictions that do prevent self-dealing improper self-dealing with respect to self-performed work, such as limitations on use of contingency, special requirements that has the county involved in the observation of any bidding arrangement for that. But there is the opportunity for limited self-performed work in the agreement, as you will see when it comes out. The issue of architect, who the architect of record can be, and the issue of who the consultants can be. The only person that the architect of record cannot be, you have to be qualified to be the architect of record. Beyond that, the only person that cannot be is Cooper Carey. Cooper Carey will have the role as the criteria architect. They cannot shift. However, not only there are engineers that will go to work for Cooper Carey that not only can shift, but it may be advisable for them to do so. By way of example, it is probably the case that with respect to, just by way of example, structural engineering, it is our anticipation that we're probably, to advance the project, we probably are going to want to encourage that structural engineer shift from Cooper Carey ultimately to the architect of record, which means, of course, that the architect of record has to be prepared to accept that contract along with the design builder. This is a methodology, where it'll assure continuity. Now, once again, it's something that we have to structure it. And it's something that ultimately with the design builder, we're going to want to sit down and talk through with Cooper Carey and the design builder, every one of those contracts to see where they belong. What that means is in your proposal, you still need to propose your architect of record. You still have to propose placeholders for your various engineers, but you have to demonstrate some flexibility, some ability to do it in a flexible manner. Unlike the state, right now. By the way, I believe the state's going to change on this, but we encourage design assist methodologies or even design build methodologies for certain subcontracted work. So we're going to be flexible and innovative in terms of project delivery when it comes to subcontracted work. That'll all be dealt with in the contract. To talk a little bit about overall schedule, here is currently what we have in mind and what we're working toward. As I mentioned, we're going through the process of, we have our criteria architect selected. It is our goal and the criteria architect, as you may know, has started a community design process. We had our first meeting last Thursday, and they are getting geared up to start with programming and schematic design. The operator should be on board so that by the maybe 2/3 of the way through schematic design, there'll be a program confirmation and revisions made such that the program that the operator insists upon, or that we negotiate with the operator and our hotel program are in sync. The goal is for the schematic design to be pretty well in place, prior to the beginning of October. There will probably be an independent, because you won't be there quite yet, an independent cost check done on that package by a consultant who is by the way, very familiar with hotel costing. So there'll be an independent cost check at that point in time. The goal is to have the design builder come on board, as soon as possible in the beginning of October, to look at that schematic design package, to do a cost estimate, parametric cost estimate at that point in time, to to ensure that we're dead on and do whatever we need to do to reconcile at that point in time. Now the design build team is in place, the operator's in place. We're now I want to say walking through the design development process. I don't want to say that we're running through the design development process, but we're going through that. The goal is to be done with design development at or around year's end or the first week or so of January. The concept is that sometime in January, we will, using the design development documents, will commence the process of GMP development. The idea is that the GMP, there's several things coming together then. Having the GMP finalized, the GMP has to be finalized as the final step for our financing package, and as the final step in some other legal work that has to be done. So the idea is that we'll have the GMP finalized, signed off, we'll have the financing in place so that we can actually commence foundations on or about the 1st of April. In order to accomplish that, that also means the structural package or the foundation package will everything up to foundations will have had to have been advanced. So part of that work we see being done, by some of the designers who were initially with the design team, the criteria team that switches over to the design builder. So you'll have that package ready to go as soon as possible after a GMP is established in April. Take a step back. While that's all going on, that means some other things are happening. It is our current plan that the county will move out of the administration building sometime before the 1st of December. I'm not sure for sure, or earlier than that. We're working on even October, but I don't know I guess we'll say that now because we did. We're working on a very early move out. The idea then is that there will be an abatement package, that the building will be abated, that there will be a demolition package, and the thought is that there can be some early packages, and we certainly would consider, especially on demolition, the design builder doing that package, even though it's an early package before the GMP. We would consider having that done. Then the question of excavate, the site package excavation could all be worked in as early packages before the GMP. So that's some of what's anticipated in the early stages. From a construction point of view, the overall plan right now is that if we can commence foundations on or about the 1st of April, we're looking at sort of a traditional 24-month construction phase. Obviously, if design builders propose something different, we'll need to hear that. The concept is that there'll be a 4-month move-in phase, 2 months of which will overlap, so it'll be 2 additional months so that this project can actually be ready for use and open for business somewhere around the 1st of June. I think my commitment was that we'd have this thing done in the spring. So the 1st of June is still spring, as far as I know. But that is kind of our working assumption right now. One of the things that I want to emphasize is that in the selection of the design builder, we are really looking, after we get these qualifications and we go out with the RFP. Well, first of all, let me tell you what the RFP will be. The RFP, aside from a form of contract, we're obviously looking for your team. We are going to be asking in the RFP for the following. We'll be asking from a financial side, we'll be asking for your proposal for your fee, which is profit and home office overhead. We'll be looking for your staff chart as to who's going to be on this project. We're going to be looking for your general conditions associated with the staff, although we'll eventually do a matrix with respect to stuff. We're more interested in people and how you'd staff it and what your financial proposal is with respect to that. We'll be asking you for your approach to, contingency and, your appetite and your approach to contingency. We'll talk, there'll also be some other aspects about this, such as, risk management, insurance, and things like that, that will be part of the, it's kind of integrated with the financial side. We're going to be, but we're really interested in your approach to the project. One of the things I'm going to encourage the county to do, by the way, is in the interviews, I'm going to encourage to really have the interview be an in-depth interview. I mean, I'm not talking about an hour interview. I'm talking about a situation where after we get through all the preliminaries of who your team is and what you do, we're really going to want to hear about your approach to the project. We're going to really want you to have looked at this job and told us, the unique issues ultimately of what it takes to build this job and how your team is going to accomplish it. So I can tell you that that'll be very critical to the selection here, is the interview and really your specific approach to how to get this job done. What have I left out? Anything else that you want me to? The RFQ itself? Yeah. What part of this haven't I? Yeah. Oh, I think the RFQ itself is pretty self-explanatory. I'm just trying to see if there's the one thing that's also important in this is in terms of your qualifications. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff here that's very explanatory, self-explanatory. I think there's three things that are important from our view about the design build team. Well, the architect of record is important, and you're going to present that. But in terms of the design build team itself, obviously, capability and experience in building a project of this scope and size, experience and capability to do it here in Cuyahoga County, experience and capability with respect to the bridging design build methodology. And, our process, it's bridging design build. We do tend to, at least when PMC is involved, we have a collaborative process. We do a facilitated GMP, and just facility and capability of working within that structure. And then knowledge of hotel types. And I know that, we haven't built a high-rise hotel here, but, having some folks on your team who really do bring the experience and the unique aspects of hotel, of the issues with hotel construction. We're going to have, aside from the core and shell of the building, we're going to have there's a complex strategy at the end that is going to involve, someone's going to be the procuring agent for this project. There's going to be a lot of FF&E that comes in. There's going to be a lot of coordination with the hotel itself, and just the capability and experience as the design builder to fit in with that coordination function and get this hotel open on time. All that stuff is going to be of great significance to us when we look at your team and your qualifications. We can answer specific questions about the RFQ itself and the information that we're seeking. But at this point in time, I think most of this is self-explanatory. So I guess if there's nothing else from the panel, we can open it up to questions.
If you have a question, if you can come up to the microphone so everyone can hear.
Anybody on the call? Anyone have a joke? No. Okay, Marty. Yeah.
No joke.
No joke. Okay.
Section 5 of the RFQ says respond in 4 pages, but it asks for management report examples. Is it your intent that you want an attachment of those samples, or do you want the samples to fit into the 4-page limit?
Hold on 1 second. Let me get to that. Where's that at here?
Jeff, I think we can let them put that in the appendix.
I'm just looking at that. Yeah, those can be an appendix and not part of your 4-page limit. Documents that exhibit reports or styles of information, samples can generally be an appendix. That'll be the same in the RFP process as well. Any other questions or questions on the phone? Not a question. I'm amazed when I'm this clear. No, okay.
The one thing I would say, having been through this process quite a bit, is the pitfall that a lot of proposers always do is they fall into the trap of they have their marketing materials and they look at the RFQ or the RFP as the process to sort of refurbish these marketing materials in some way. What I would encourage everybody is we're looking for substantive proposals. As much of the fluff you can keep out of the proposals. Keep out of the proposals. If you have a compelling case, make the compelling case, because honestly, you're wasting very precious time with a lot of the marketing material that doesn't help us in any way. So that's something that I would say across the board. And because of the way that this process works, you have to be committed to it. You have the RFQ where we're narrowing it down to 3 based on the qualifications. And then subsequently, there's going to be the RFP. The team that you propose is going to continue through. It's not like we're going to get to the RFQ and then later we have changes in the. So make sure you have your A team, and once we do the qualifications, it's going to continue through the RFP process. It's not like things are going to start from scratch at that point. So just to make sure everybody's on the same page on that.
Okay. A few other, I take it for granted that a lot of people understand this project, and I do realize I don't know who all is on the phone who may be calling in from out of town. Just a couple other things that I should say about the project. And I'm not going to describe why we're doing the project. I'm not going to describe how it relates to the convention center. You know something from the document, something about the initial program for development. I haven't stated this, but from a financing point of view, this is an unusual project in that we believe that the financing of this project is going to come from existing sources, that we're not going to have any new taxes, or it's not speculative based on the passage of a tax or something like that. The financing of this project basically comes from these sources. There will be bonds, or really certificates of participation, that are issued. The revenue streams for these certificates of participation will come from there's going to be a non-school TIF for property tax, what would have been property tax, which will come back into the project. The hotel tax or bed tax that would have been generated, both the county and the city's portion, is coming back into the project to support financing. That part of the revenue stream that was originally intended for the convention center, but is no longer needed either for the construction or operation of the convention center, which is a portion of the 15-year sales tax, the increase 1% bond. There's a positively Cleveland participation. That's all going to be repackaged and comes back into the financing stream for this. And then, of course, a portion of the net revenues generated by the hotel itself will come back and be part of the financing stream. In addition to that, and that's the financing stream, we have there are cash sources. And by the way, yes, people will be paid prior to the issuance of the bonds, because we actually have money in the bank, in the capital that's there, left over from the convention center portion of the project. There's also a contribution from the city that has been stated in the amount of about $8 million. This project will be sales tax exempt with respect to construction. because of the nature of the financing. Not sure if I left anything else out, but that's basically the source of financing, so it's all there. That is why we are anxious to proceed, get going, and that's the financial package that's involved here. Other questions? Very good.
Keep in mind that these RFQs are due on the 21st. We do plan to issue an addendum before the 15th of this month. That will not change the due date of the 21st. You want to make sure that you outline your commitment as far as our SBE goal. You outline your plan, approach, and commitment to the 25% goal that we set for this RFQ. If you have any questions, your contact person is on the cover of your RFQ. You want to make sure you have those questions to us in writing, and we will respond within the addendum. If there's no other questions, no other comments, we want to thank you all for coming out.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.